My phone buzzed at 9:17 a.m., just as I was presenting the previous quarter's performance report to a major client group from Texas. A message popped up. Ms. Taylor, please come to my office immediately. Signed, Mr. Rodriguez, Regional Executive Director. I nearly froze in the middle of the conference room. After 4 years at Elliott and Hart, I had never been summoned so abruptly, especially not during a critical presentation. I apologized to the clients, handed off the rest to a colleague, and stepped out into the hallway, clutching my phone like it had just turned into a summons. Mr. Rodriguez's office door was always shut. This morning was no exception. I knocked twice. Come in. The air inside was so tense it felt suffocating. He pointed to the chair across from him without a word. I sat down, gently, feeling every thump of my heart pulsing in my ears. Ms. Taylor, we received an anonymous call this morning. His voice was low and clipped, unlike his usual tone. The caller claimed, "You've been abusing substances and frequently stealing office supplies and company equipment." I stared at him, stunned. Excuse me, what? The person identified herself as your sister. Chloe. He paused, then pulled a document from his drawer. This is a summary of the call and the internal complaint form we were required to file. I took the paper, my vision swimming as I saw my name linked to outright accusations. Chloe had stated she had personally witnessed me showing up drunk to client meetings multiple times, and that I had once slipped a pair of AirPods worth $200 into my bag before leaving the office. A loud ringing erupted in my head. I tried to breathe steadily, but every word cut like a blade to the chest. Mr. Rodriguez, this is a misunderstanding. I've never done anything wrong here. You can check the cameras, ask my colleagues. I've had 5-star performance reviews for the past 4 quarters. I know, and honestly, I was shocked too, he sighed, though his expression remained firm. But a claim like this, once it leaks, puts the company's reputation at serious risk. The board met this morning. They don't want to wait for an internal investigation. I stood, frozen. You mean, you are being terminated, effective immediately? My entire body collapsed inward. I didn't cry, but my hands turned ice cold and trembled. I stammered, Can I speak to Chloe? Just to clarify, you're free to use your phone. He stood, nodding toward the door. Security will escort you out after you clear your desk. I dialed Chloe the moment I stepped into the hallway. She picked up on the 3rd ring. Hey, boss lady. Her voice was bright, almost teasing. Chloe, did you call my office this morning? Oh, that. She burst out laughing. Geez, you're so intense. It was just a joke, a little game. A game? I nearly shouted into the phone. I just got fired, Chloe. Wait, what? They actually fired you? I thought they'd just warn you or something. Wow, you're so dramatic. The phone slipped from my hand and tapped against the tile floor. I bent down to pick it up on reflex, her words still echoing in my head. Just a little game. One phone call, one joke. And I had lost everything. My job, my reputation, the promotion I had spent 4 years working toward. I got back to my Brooklyn apartment around noon, after quietly clearing out my desk and avoiding the pitying glances of my coworkers. Everything had unraveled so fast. My employee badge was deactivated the moment I passed the turnstile, my internal account locked. Every tie to Elliott and Hart severed, as if I had never existed in their system. Before I could even exhale, the phone rang again. Mom. I hesitated for a second, then answered. Her voice came through sharp, no greeting. What happened to you, Aubrey? Chloe said you went off the rails in the office, made a huge scene over a harmless prank. I closed my eyes, feeling cold sweat form at the back of my neck. I just lost my job, Mom, because of that prank. She sighed, the way someone would when a child throws a tantrum. Aubrey, why do you always overreact like this? Chloe said it was just a joke. She didn't expect it to get that serious. I tightened my grip on the phone, lips quivering. A joke? She accused me of substance abuse and theft. Do you have any idea what that can do to someone's career? She's your sister, Aubrey. You should learn to be more forgiving. Honestly, maybe that job was too stressful anyway. This might be a sign it's time for a new direction. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. She didn't even hesitate. What are you saying? I asked, my voice hoarse. One of Chloe's friends is opening a small coffee shop in Midtown. They need someone to manage the front. It's not great pay, but it's steady. And hey, no more suits every day. I laughed bitterly. You do remember I have a master's degree in finance, right? I used to oversee budgets for 30 corporate clients, coordinating nearly $400,000 a month. There you go, bragging again. Chloe has artistic talent. She's not cut out for rigid corporate jobs like you. You want everything perfect. Relax a little, would you? I hung up before my mother could say one more thing that would send me over the edge. I knew she always favored Chloe, but I had never seen that favoritism so bare and brutal until now. A few minutes later, my phone lit up. Text from Chloe. Gotta admit, your reaction was hilarious. Like a soap opera. Chill a little, sis. I didn't reply. Another message followed almost immediately. Come on, don't be mad. How was I supposed to know they'd actually fire you? I thought your boss was smarter than that. I bit down hard on my lip. For the first time in years, I felt a wave of anger so deep I couldn't swallow it. Not because I was insulted, but because I'd been betrayed. By blood. And worse, by the people who used to hold me in their arms and call me daughter. In the family group chat, my mom sent a message. Chloe said you haven't eaten all day. Want me to order something for you? Don't stay upset forever. Everything will work out. Right after that, a message from Dad, who rarely spoke up. Don't let one little thing damage the family bond. Chloe didn't mean it. Be generous, like your mother taught you. I stared at the screen. Little thing. Didn't mean it. Be generous. No one had asked if I was okay. No one had asked to hear my side. And not a single person, not one, had questioned whether Chloe had gone too far. I opened my laptop and removed the family chat from my quick access bar. Outside, it started to rain. Not a dramatic downpour, just steady, cold raindrops. The kind that wear you down slowly, like the way my family had treated me for years. Never enough to break me completely, but enough to erode every ounce of trust. I got up, walked to the window, and stared down at the traffic moving indifferently below. If they had chosen to stand with the one who pushed me off the ledge, then maybe it was time I learned how to climb, without waiting for anyone to pull me up. That evening, in a living room lit only by the dull hum of the fridge and the overhead light casting a faint glow on the cold wooden floor, I opened my laptop. I reopened my LinkedIn profile. I updated my former title, listed the financial campaigns I'd led, highlighted the growth stats of key clients, line by line, metric by metric, everything I had built over the past 4 years, now erased by a single phone call. No, I wasn't going to let some vicious prank define my ending. At 10:17 p.m., I sent my first email. To Nate Benson, head of finance at Weller Strategies, a direct competitor of Elliott and Hart. He had been a guest speaker at last year's post-pandemic value chain forum, where I presented on corporate resilience. I proofread it 3 times before hitting send. Then I sent 6 more, to companies I knew were expanding their market share, to people I had once supported, people who actually knew who I was, not the distorted version Chloe had created. The next morning, I got 3 replies. One of them was from Skylar Moore, CEO of Carrington Capital. I'd once helped her optimize their portfolio 3 years ago. Aubrey, I heard what happened at Elliott. Call me today. We need someone like you, and we don't buy into gossip. At exactly 9:30, I joined the first Zoom call. I wore a white button-up shirt, pulled my hair back neatly, and looked straight at the screen with steady eyes. The meeting lasted 28 minutes. Skylar didn't ask how I was feeling. She asked which high-risk portfolios I'd managed while maintaining positive returns. I responded with a pre-prepared analysis, case studies I had led, and closed with a sentence I'd never had the courage to say back at Elliott. I'm not here to ask for a chance. I'm here to show you what they lost. 3 days later, I received a formal offer from Carrington Capital. It came with a note. Position: Senior Strategy Advisor. Salary: $152,000 per year plus performance bonuses. Twice your previous income. I stared at the number without blinking. Not because I was shocked, but because I knew I'd earned every bit of it. Over the next few days, I reconnected with former colleagues. Sent out LinkedIn invites. No explanations, no complaints, just one quiet signal. I'm back. Friday afternoon, I got a message from Amy Tran, former legal advisor at Elliott, who had left a year ago after clashing with HR. Rodriguez is panicking. They just lost a major contract. They don't know you're behind it. I smiled. Rodriguez had thought cutting me loose was the cleanest way to protect the firm's reputation. But he forgot something. I was the reason they had one in the first place. And now that Carrington was targeting Elliott's former clients, I was the one designing the playbook. The war hadn't started yet, but the board was already in motion. I turned off my screen and looked out the window. Chloe kept texting. Every day, a new angle. Heard you got a new job. Kinda knew you'd be fine. After all, we're still sisters, right? I didn't answer. Not out of spite, but because I was no longer in a position where I owed her, or anyone, an explanation. I'm rebuilding my world. Quietly, steadily, brick by brick. Using the very stones they once tried to bury me with. Just 3 weeks after I signed the official contract with Carrington Capital, the news got out. Not from me, but from my mother. She ran into the wife of a board member at the company during a community center dance class. And just like that, the story of Aubrey being hired as a senior advisor with a 6-figure salary became the main topic at my family dinner, even though I wasn't there. That evening, my phone blew up. A message from Chloe. Heard you're the big boss now. Congrats. By the way, this month's studio rent is kinda urgent. Can you help? Before I could reply, the family group chat lit up. Mom, sweetie, your dad's thinking of remodeling the kitchen. The gas stove's too old. But the contractor quoted a bit high. Could you help with part of it? I'm sure you understand. Since you're in finance. Don't say no to your mother. It's just a little help. Tyler, my brother who once borrowed my college fund to open a failed gaming cafe in Ohio, chimed in. My car just got towed. I need to pay $1,400 within 2 days or they'll auction it. Can you help? I sat frozen, staring at the glowing screen. Not one sincere congratulations. No one asked, are you okay? Or have you moved past what happened with Chloe? Just money. I opened a new email folder titled Family Financial Requests. Every message, every ask, every excuse. I saved it all. That night, Chloe sent another private message. Just saw the limited edition Chanel bag is on sale for 40% off. Can you front me the cash? I'll pay you back, promise. I checked Chloe's account activity for the month. She was still using the credit card I co-signed when she was a sophomore in college, even though I'd asked several times for it to be canceled. Last transaction? A luxury sushi restaurant? 3 bottles of premium sake? Nothing even remotely tied to the art she kept using as an excuse. Tyler wasn't any better. Despite claiming the car was towed, the bank statements I still had from helping him last year showed that 80% of his spending went to online games and electronics. I opened Evernote, created a new file, logged the dates, times, and contents of each call. Then I logged into my parents' bank account, the one I helped them open and used to pay off their debt 2 years ago. The most recent debit? A deposit of $5,200 for new granite countertops. Meanwhile, Mom had just said the contractor quoted a bit high. I took screenshots. Every detail, every warped truth, every sweet-sounding sentence used as bait for sympathy. The next morning, I got a call from Mom. "You didn't respond to last night's message," she said in that overly gentle voice. "Your dad and I need to place the final order for the wood cabinets by the weekend. They're holding it for us." I paused for a few seconds. "You know, I just got a new job. A good salary. Helping your dad a little won't hurt," she added. I replied calmly. "And what about Dad's credit debt? Should I count that too? Or Chloe's final year tuition that I'm still covering?" Silence on the other end. Then she snapped. "So you keep track of every penny?" "Not memory, documentation." I hung up and reopened the data folder. From that day forward, I rerouted every financial ask to a separate inbox, because I realized this wasn't about family anymore. This was damage control. 3 days later, Chloe sent her final message in the chain of requests. "If you're not going to help, just say so. Don't pretend to be busy. I know you're free this weekend. Want to grab steak? You're paying. Mom already booked the table." I didn't reply. I printed the final document on a Tuesday night, as the city settled into cold fog and the glare of car lights reflected off my apartment's window pane. 4 envelopes, sealed tight, weighted with years of memories and pain that had quietly piled up over more than a decade. Mom, Dad, Tyler, Chloe. Each envelope went to a different person, and each one held exactly what they had spent years avoiding. The truth. I didn't write to hurt them. I wrote to remind them that I would no longer stay silent. Every letter was sent via certified mail with signature confirmation. I wanted to know the exact moment the truth knocked on each of their doors. 3 days later, at 10:41 a.m., my phone lit up. "Delivered, signed by Karen Simmons." My mother's name. 2 minutes later, my phone rang. I didn't answer. A message followed. What is this supposed to mean? Pages of notes like a criminal investigation? "You're disgracing this family." I didn't respond. By noon, Dad called. His voice was hoarse, angry. "Did you include our credit card statements in your letter? That's a serious violation of privacy." I answered plainly. "It's not a violation. I just returned the records to the people who created them." He hung up. That afternoon, a message from Tyler appeared. "I get that you're mad about the car and the failed startup years ago, but was the letter really necessary? The bank's still threatening legal action. I really need your help." I took a screenshot and saved it in the folder titled "Still Asking After the Letter." Finally, her message arrived just before midnight. "You've officially lost it. I could sue you for violating my privacy. Tracking everything I buy? Who even does that besides a paranoid freak?" Then a second message. "And by the way, that bag was from an outlet store, not full price like you wrote. If you're going to be crazy, at least get the facts right." I smiled, not because it was funny, but because Chloe always believed the truth was something you could bargain with. The next morning, my mother showed up at my office. I was in a strategy meeting with the development team when the front desk buzzed me. She was wearing a pale pink yoga set, eyes puffy, clutching the creased letter. "You embarrassed me in front of my friends," she hissed, trying to keep her voice low, but failing to hide her fury. I led her outside, to a quiet corner of the building. I didn't look at her. I just said, "You should reread the letter, every word." He read it. All of it. "And I don't regret anything I've done." I nodded. "Then you don't need to worry about your image anymore. Everything is clear now." She opened her mouth again, but a voice cut in from behind us. "Is there a problem here?" It was Laura, our head of communications, someone the executive team trusted deeply. I replied calmly, "No, just a personal matter." Laura looked at my mother, then back at me. Her tone was gentle but firm. "Let me know if you need security." My mother froze. She didn't say another word. She tossed the letter into my hands and walked away. That afternoon, Chloe posted on social media, "Some people can't handle honesty and freedom. They use truth as a knife to cut relationships. PSA, getting stabbed in the back by your own sister still hurts." The post included a photo of an open suitcase showing a passport. Final line. Paris. One way. Less than an hour later, Tyler messaged me privately. I'm not taking Chloe's side, but are you really going to destroy this family? Dad's blood pressure is through the roof. I closed my eyes, gripping the edge of my desk. I used to fear that I would be the one who shattered the family's fragile peace. But I finally understood. That was never peace. I opened my email and sent one line to each of them. I owe no one my silence, and starting today, I owe no one my money. 8 p.m., Saturday. There was a knock on the door. Loud, demanding. I opened it, and just as I'd expected, my whole family stormed in like a thunderstorm. Mom led the charge, coat still on, eyes blazing. Dad followed, jaw clenched. Tyler hung back, avoiding eye contact. And Chloe, of course, was last, holding a stack of printed pages. The copy of my letter. We need to talk, Mom said flatly, not waiting for an invitation. Chloe tossed the pages onto the coffee table, voice sharp. What is this? Some psychological torture? Or are you planning to leak this to the press? I didn't answer. I pulled a folder from the drawer and placed it next to Chloe's documents. Since you're all here, please take a seat. No one spoke. Mom grabbed a chair. Dad crossed his arms and leaned against the wall. Chloe crossed her legs and sat. Tyler hovered by the kitchen. I opened the folder. These are the recent transactions on the credit card Chloe is still using, under my name. Purchases include 2 Versace outfits, a dinner at Belle's totaling over $400, and 3 vague Amazon orders. I turned to Tyler. Here are the tow notices for your car. 3 times in the past year. Reason? Non-payment. Yet in the same month, you transferred nearly $800 to an online gaming account. Tyler lowered his head. Chloe opened her mouth to argue, but I raised my hand. Don't say I misunderstood anything. Every transaction here is clearly documented. I turned to my dad. And here's the second mortgage on the house in Queens, under your name, plus 5 separate payments to the golf club. Total over $17,000 in 6 months. Meanwhile, Mom texted me saying you two were struggling and needed help fixing the kitchen. No one said a word, not a single excuse. Finally, I looked at my mom. And you, for the past 20 years. I've done everything not to disappoint you. I got good grades, stayed out of trouble, never wrecked anything, but I always had to hear, Chloe's more sensitive. Tyler just needs time. Aubrey's strong. She doesn't need much attention. What did it really mean? That I was the only one who wasn't allowed to fail, and the only one who had to pay for everyone else's mistakes. Mom looked up, her eyes glassy. I didn't realize things had built up this much. No, you just didn't want to see it. Tyler sat down and let out a deep breath, like something heavy had just been lifted. You're right. I owe you so much, and I've never faced it. I have a gambling problem. At first it was just for fun, then it spiraled. I didn't tell anyone because I knew, no matter what, you'd be the one left to clean it up. Chloe jumped up. What about me, huh? Am I just the villain? I just wanted to be seen, to be loved the way you were. I hated always being in the shadow. I didn't know that letter would risk your job. But deep down, maybe I wanted that. I looked her straight in the eye. Though you finally admit it. Mom began to cry. Not the loud, showy kind she usually used for sympathy. This time she shook, covering her face with her hands. Have we really been this awful? Dad quietly looked at his wife, then at me. The anger in his eyes was gone, replaced by shame. I took a long breath. I'll ask this once. If you want my forgiveness, if you want to hold on to any piece of what's left of this family, are you ready to actually change? No words. No, just give us time. Real action. Real commitment. Clear terms. No one spoke for 10 seconds. Then Tyler nodded first. Yes, I'm ready. Chloe bit her lip, looked at Mom, then nodded too. Mom choked up. I don't know where to begin, but I will, if you'll still give me the chance. I hadn't forgiven them, but I would give them a chance, and this time, I held the key. 3 weeks after the confrontation at my apartment, I got an unexpected text from Tyler. Sunday, 5 p.m., come home. Everyone wants you back. No pressure, just some things we all need to say. I stared at that message for a while, not because I was still angry, but because I wasn't sure I believed in this new version of my family. Still, I got in the car and drove. The house in suburban Brooklyn looked different. No pricey plants out front, no dad's sports car hogging the driveway. I walked in and felt something unfamiliar. Not tension, not awkwardness, just quiet. Mom was the first to approach. She wore jeans and a plain gray sweater, no blinding pink yoga set. I quit yoga, she said softly. Figured I should learn how to sit still for once. Dad gave a nod as I walked into the living room. I canceled my golf membership, signed up for a weekend cooking class instead. I glanced at the dining table, a place that hadn't hosted all of us at once in years. But now, everyone was there. Mom, Dad, Tyler, Chloe. A little awkward, but present. Chloe picked up a small notebook. I've been journaling my therapy sessions. Just started my 4th one last week, and I work at the local gallery now. Not managing it, just admin. But I show up, on time, every day. Tyler gave a quiet chuckle. I enrolled in the city's addiction support program, and I got a night job delivering packages. Not glamorous, but I pay my own phone bill now. Mom poured me a cup of peppermint tea. We're seeing a family counselor weekly. It's not easy, but it feels like this time we're all actually trying. I sat down, slowly exhaling. The silence lingered for a moment, then Dad slid a piece of paper across the table. A proposal to invest in your new company. I raised an eyebrow. It's not money, Dad quickly explained. It's just a list of things we can help with. Clearing out storage, decorating the office, offering basic legal support. No one's asking for equity. No one's asking for anything. I took the paper. At the bottom were all their signatures. Dad, Mom, Tyler, and Chloe. Chloe looked at me, eyes slightly red. This time, we won't ruin it. If you're building again, we'll help you build the fence, not tear up the foundation. I let out a small smile, the resistance in my chest finally gone. The next 3 weeks flew by. I got a call from Larry, my former boss at Carrington Capital. Aubrey, I told the board, if you launch your own firm, I'm ready to back you as a silent investor. I was stunned. You don't have to. I don't have to do anything. I want to. Because you deserve it. 1 month later, I officially filed for the license. Aubrey Taylor Consulting. Focused on small business financial restructuring and strategic growth training for family-owned companies. The very thing I had once wished for in my own home. At our first family meeting at the new office, I laid it out. We'll meet quarterly. Not for dinners, not for photos, but to report on financial and emotional progress. If anyone isn't honest, they're out of the support circle. No one disagreed. Mom was the first to speak. I've started a credit card repayment plan. And your father's created our first monthly budget. In 15 years. Chloe smiled. This time, genuinely. I'm managing the Instagram account at the gallery. For the first time, I feel seen. Not because of you, but because of me. Tyler raised his hand like a school kid. 6 weeks gambling free. And I haven't borrowed a single dollar since the beginning of the month. I sat back, listening quietly, because I knew this wasn't a happy ending. It was the right beginning. We didn't become a perfect family. But for once, we sat together as adults, ready to face the truth instead of hiding from it. And this time, I wasn't carrying the roof alone. I was part of it, steady, but not alone. 9 months after that final confrontation, I stood outside my parents' house in the suburbs, holding a tray of homemade waffles in one hand, my car key in the other. I wasn't walking in armored anymore. Not because I'd forgotten everything, but because I had clear boundaries now. And for the first time, they respected them. Mom opened the door, smiling softly. Gone was the glitz. Just a plain cream-knit sweater and a calmer face. "Come in. Oh, I mean, Ms." She corrected herself with a laugh, still trying to break the habit of talking to you like a child. I laughed with her, not mockingly, not guarded, just honestly. Inside, Dad was toasting bread. The buttery smell filled the kitchen. Tyler was wearing headphones, working on a report for his new delivery job. Chloe sat at the table, coloring a design draft she was freelancing for the gallery. Everyone had their own role, their own life, and the most important thing, self-respect. Dad handed me a hot cup of tea with a finance magazine opened to a page. "They featured your firm in here. Full article. Your mom showed it to Ms. Betty next door." I turned the page and saw my name printed boldly under the headline. "The woman who turned hurt into strategy." I didn't grin or celebrate. I just nodded. They were finally learning how to be proud, the right way. Dinner was simple. No talk of the past, no mention of how Chloe once cost me my job, or how Tyler once borrowed without returning. Instead, we talked about this year's goals, work updates, even Mom's new low-sugar granola recipe. At the end of the meal, Chloe pulled a letter from her pocket. "I wrote this for you, not to apologize, but to say thank you, for not cutting me out of your life, even when I probably deserved it." I took the letter, but didn't open it. "You're not a shadow anymore, Chloe. You're yourself now." Tyler smiled and nodded. "And I'm learning responsibility. Just opened my first savings account ever." Dad raised his glass. Mom patted his back gently. "No one called me the strong one holding this house together anymore. No more 'you've got it, sis.' No more 'you're the successful one, help the rest.' Because now, I didn't have to help anyone unless I chose to. And the strange thing was, once I stopped giving unconditionally, they finally learned to stand on their own. After dinner, I got up to leave. Chloe hugged me without a word. The hug wasn't performative. It was a silent thank you. Mom walked me to the door and watched me unlock my car. "Aubrey." I turned. "I know you haven't forgotten everything, but can you forgive me?" I looked at her. "Not yet, but you're on the right path." She smiled, nodding slowly. Driving back to the city, I switched off my usual business podcasts. Just soft music this time. Outside, the night was cool, streetlights blending into golden trails. I thought about how far I'd come, from being fired because of my own sister, to being invited as a keynote speaker at the strategy conference of the year. But my greatest win wasn't a contract or a company. It was that I no longer flinched when my mother's name popped up on caller ID. My family didn't become saints. No one had a miraculous transformation. But the masks came off. No more golden child, no more screw up. We weren't perfect, but we were real. And for me, that was enough to start again. Aubrey's story is proof that silence isn't always noble. Sometimes speaking up is the only way to save yourself. Setting boundaries and speaking the truth, even with your own family, doesn't destroy it. It rebuilds it on honesty and respect. In real life, change doesn't come from promises. It comes from action. And sometimes the bravest thing you can do is stop sacrificing without limits. What do you think about Aubrey's journey and her family's transformation? Drop your thoughts below, and don't forget to follow the channel for more powerful, true-to-life family stories.